Okay, so we are working on Tuesday classwork. The date is August 18th. So this is our classwork for this week from 8:17 to 8:21. And you should have your paper and something to write with as you're working. So Tuesday is find the greatest common factor. So we're going to talk about what that is and then how to do that. So greatest common factor of 24 and 30 is our first problem. So we want to find the largest number that both have in common. So what we're going to do first is just make a T-chart. We did this yesterday on one of our problems. And we're going to make two, right? Because we're comparing two different numbers. We want the greatest common factor of 24 and 30. So I'm first going to write 1 times 24 because I know that 1 times 24 is 24. And then over here, I'm going to go ahead and write 1 times 30 because that's going to be my factors of 30. So let's start with 24. Remember, you always kind of want to go least to greatest when you're thinking about how to know whether or not a number divides into another number. So 2, if I look at 24, I know it can be divided by 2. It can be divided in half. So 2 is one of my factors, and 2 times 12 is 24. So that's a factor pair that I have, 2 times 12. 3 can divide into 24 8 times, another factor pair. 4 can divide into 24 6 times. I know it's not going to be divisible by 5 because it doesn't end in a 0 or a 5. And as I think about the rest of my numbers, 7, 8, 9, those are also not divisible. Will not be divisible into 24. So I know that these are all of my factors, or factor pairs, if I want to call them, of 24. So I look at 30. 30 is also even, so I know it can be divided by 2. So 2 times 15. I know that 3 times 10 is 30. 4 will not divide evenly into 30. 5 will. 5 times 6. 7, 8, or 9 will not. So I also have all of my factors of 30. So now what I do is look at both lists. I'm going to circle all the factors that are in common first. So 1 is obviously in common. 2 is in common. Both lists have a 3. Both lists have a 6. So those are all of my factors in common. The greatest factor that is in common is the 6. So I'm going to put a triangle around that. And that is my greatest common factor, the largest number that appears in both lists. So the greatest common factor is 6. So then we're going to do the same strategy as we work across the page. Greatest common factor of 18 and 20. So again, I'm going to make two T-charts. 1 times 18, 1 times 20. 18 is even, so 2 divides into it. So 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 6 is 18. And I don't have any other numbers that divide evenly into 18. 2 times 10 is 20. If I'm looking at my factors of 20, I know 3 does not divide in, 4 does. 4 times 5 is 20. And I don't have any other numbers that divide into 20 either. So now again, I'm going to circle all the factors that are in common. 1 is in common. 2 is in common. And I don't have any other that are in common. So I'm going to put a triangle around that 2. And my greatest common factor is 2. So now I'm moving over to greatest common factor of 15 and 18. So again, I go ahead and make my T-charts. 1 times 15 and 1 times 18. So just start both. Let's go back to 15. 1 times 15 is not going to be divisible by 2 because it's an even number, or an odd number. I'm so sorry. It's not an even number. 3 divides into 15, 3 times 5. And I don't have any other numbers that I can multiply to make 15. 18 is divisible by 2, so 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 6 is 18. You might remember that we did 18 over here, right? So you can always work smarter, not harder. Just copy that. Circle your common factors. 1, 3. And then we're going to put a triangle around that 3 because that's our greatest common factor. The largest number that appears in both lists is your greatest common factor. And our last one. Find the greatest common factor of 8 and 20. So I make my T-chart. I look at 8. I know 2 times 4 is 8. So 1 times 8 and 2 times 4, there aren't any other numbers that we can multiply to make 8. For 20, we already know because we did it over here with our problem over here. So I know 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. So again, I'm going to circle all factors that are in common. So ones, there's a 2 in both lists, a 4 in both lists, and then I'm going to put a triangle around the one that is the greatest, and I'm going to write greatest common factor 4. So on the back side of your homework, you should see that you're doing the same thing. You want to use that same strategy for homework and find the greatest common factor of each of these numbers. Make sure you have a pencil. Make sure that you are working out your problems and showing your work, and I'll check your work tomorrow when you come back to school. Have a great day.